Passion of Christ broke limits no Christian film ever had. But what many people don't know is that behind the scenes, this film was far from normal. Something very disturbing happened on that set, something none of us were ever supposed to know. There were whispers of a strange presence, haunting coincidences, and unnatural events that still haunt the people who worked on that set to this very day. Why did Mel Gibson insist on making a movie every studio in Hollywood refused to touch? Keep watching, because this is what happens when one man decides to cross boundaries men were never meant to. Before a single frame was filmed, before the bloodied robes, and before the Passion of the Christ became a cultural phenomenon, there was one man, Mel Gibson. Not the Mel that's commonly described as a global superstar or an Oscar-winning director, but a man on a mission that almost no one understood and even fewer believed in. What many people fail to understand is the fact that this wasn't a film he planned. It was a film he just had to make. But even Mel could have never imagined what he was getting himself into. He didn't know that what would happen before, during, and after this film would lead to the most transformative experiences of his life, and in ways he never expected. Mel's obsession with the Passion. It all began in the late 1990s, when Gibson was in a place most Hollywood stars would call successful. He had international fame, box office hits, and the rare privilege of calling his own shots in Hollywood. But behind the scenes, something very disturbing had begun happening to this man. He was battling some serious demons. There was addiction, depression, and a growing sense that something was missing in his life. He was on the edge, and things got so bad that he began to have inappropriate thoughts. But somewhere in that darkness, something strange happened. Mel suddenly reconnected with his faith, and it didn't happen in a soft and symbolic way. It happened deeply and almost obsessively. According to Mel, in the midst of his pain one day, he just hit his knees on the ground and began asking God for help. From there, he began meditating on the gospel, especially parts that had to do with asking God for help, parts he had read when he was much younger. And that's where the idea behind the Passion of Christ was born. Mel once said, "I was a bad guy, a really horrible guy. My sins were the